You're 22 years old. It's AM on a freezing March morning in 1944, and someone's shaking you awake in a cold Nissen hut somewhere in the English countryside. In 2 hours, you'll be at 25,000 feet over Nazi Germany, sitting in a thin aluminum tube while 88mm flak shells explode around you in Luftwaffe. Fighters try to knock you out of the sky. Your odds of surviving the next 25 missions: about 1 in 4. This is the story of a real bombing raid, one of thousands flown by American airmen during World War II. But today we're going deeper than the history books. Using restored color footage, mission reports, and first-hand accounts, we're taking you inside the cockpit, the gun turrets, and the minds of the young men who fought a war at 5 miles high. What you're about to see is brutal, terrifying, and absolutely real. This is the air war, and it was nothing like the movies. The wake-up call comes before dawn. There's no gentle transition from sleep to consciousness, just a flashlight in your face and a voice telling you that today's the day. You pull on layers of clothing in the dark. Long underwear, wool pants, sweater, heated suit. Outside, the temperature is just above freezing. Where you're going, it'll be 60 below zero. The mess hall is quieter than usual. Some guys aren't eating, their stomachs are already in knots. You force down powdered eggs and coffee that tastes like it was brewed in a boot. Around you, young faces, some still have acne, try to joke. Try to act normal, but everyone knows the numbers. The 100th Bomb Group didn't get nicknamed the Bloody 100th because they handed out participation trophies. At 0600 hours, you file into the briefing room. The map on the wall is covered by a curtain, and there's this moment, this awful, suspended moment where you don't know if today's target is going to be a milk run or a ticket to a POW camp or worse. The curtain pulls back. A red ribbon stretches from your base in England across the North Sea, deep into Germany. Someone in the back mutters a curse. The target, Schweinfurt, ball-bearing factories, heavily defended. You've heard the stories about Schweinfurt from earlier raids. Entire formations decimated, fortresses going down by the dozens. The intelligence officer steps up, pointer in hand. His voice is matter-of-fact, almost bored. Expected enemy fighter opposition, heavy. Flak concentrations, severe. He taps the map at various points where German anti-aircraft batteries are clustered like deadly constellations. You'll be flying at 24,000 feet. Fighter escort will take you as far as they can, but you'll be on your own for the final leg, on your own. Those words hang in the air. Your pilot, Lieutenant Morrison, is 23 but looks older today. He's already flown 19 missions. He needs 6 more to go home. The bombardier, a kid from Ohio named Eddie, sits with his hands clasped, knuckles white. The ball turret gunner, barely 5'5" because that's all that fits in that tiny sphere of plexiglass and guns, stares at his boots. The chaplain offers a prayer. Some men bow their heads, others don't. When it's over, you file out into the gray morning and climb onto trucks that will take you to your aircraft. Your B-17, she's called Lucky Lady, though 3 of the original crew are already dead, sits on the hard stand like a sleeping beast. 50-foot wingspan for massive radial engines, 13 .50 caliber machine guns bristling from every angle. She's beautiful and terrifying, and for the next 8 hours, she's the only thing between you and oblivion. The ground crew has been up since AM getting her ready. They load 4,000 pounds of bombs into the belly while you do your pre-flight check. Every crew member has their ritual. The pilot touches the nose art. The tail gunner checks his guns 3 times. You, the radio operator, test every frequency, every connection, because if those radios go dead over Germany, you're flying deaf and isolated in a sky full of enemies. At 0730 hours, the signal comes. Engines 1, 2, 3, 4 roar to life in sequence, each one a thunder that you feel in your chest. 48 feet of propeller blade turning, churning, pulling 65,000 pounds of aircraft, fuel, bombs, and crew toward the runway. The tower gives clearance. Morrison advances the throttles, and Lucky Lady starts to roll. The runway disappears beneath you faster and faster until that moment, that incredible, defying physics moment when the wheels leave the ground and you're airborne. But here's what they don't tell you in training. Taking off is the easy part. You climb in formation with 35 other fortresses and B-24 liberators, spiraling upward through English clouds, each aircraft finding its assigned position in the bomber stream. This is precision flying. Hold your position too tight and you risk collision, fall too far back and you're an easy target for fighters. The whole formation has to move as one organism, a defensive box where every gun can cover every other plane. At 10,000 feet, you go on oxygen. The masks are uncomfortable, claustrophobic, but without them you'd be unconscious in minutes. The temperature plummets. Even with heated suits, the cold is shocking, invasive. Seeping into your bones, frost forms on every metal surface inside the aircraft. Your breath crystallizes in front of your face. At 24,000 feet, you level off and turn east, toward the continent, toward Germany. The channel passes below, gray and churning. Then the coastline of occupied Europe appears, a thin line that marks the edge of enemy territory. This is the point of no return. Your fighter escort, P-47 Thunderbolts, waggle their wings and take up defensive positions around the bomber stream. For the next hour, it's almost peaceful. Almost. The formation drones eastward, 36. Heavy bombers carrying enough explosive power to level a small city. Inside Lucky Lady, the crew is silent, each man alone with his thoughts, checking and rechecking equipment, scanning the sky. The waist gunner spots them first. Fighters. 10 o'clock high. Your stomach drops. They come out of the sun, a classic tactic. Messerschmitt Bf 109 seconds and Focke-Wulf 190 seconds, some of the best fighters in the world, flown by experienced Luftwaffe pilots who have been doing this longer than you've been flying. The Thunderbolts break formation to engage, and suddenly the sky is full of aircraft. Twisting, turning, diving, contrails streak across the blue like chalk marks. Tracers arc through the air, there's red, yours a greenish-white. The 50 cals open up all around you, the sound inside the aircraft absolutely deafening even through your helmet. A B-24 in the formation takes a hit. You see it happen in slow motion, the fighter's cannon shells walking up the fuselage, sparks and metal fragments flying. Smoke starts pouring from the No. 3 engine. The Liberator falls out of formation, losing altitude, and then you see them tiny figures tumbling into space. Parachutes. Blossom. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's only 4 out of 10 crew members. The B-24 goes into a spin, one wing folding upward at an impossible angle. It disappears into the clouds below. You're the radio operator, but right now you're also manning the top turret gun. AFW 190 makes a head-on pass at your formation, the most dangerous attack because the combined closing speed is over 600 miles per hour. You squeeze the triggers, feeling the twin 50s hammer against your shoulders. The fighter flashes past so close you can see the pilot's face, and then he's gone, rolling away. And you don't know if you hit him or not. The intercom is chaos. Fighter at 6 o'clock. I got him. I got him. Flak ahead. We're losing oil pressure on No. 2. Voices overlap, some calm, some panicked, all struggling to be heard over the engine noise and the guns. And then the fighters break off. The P-47s have done their job for now. But ahead, on the horizon, you see something worse. Flak. The Germans call it Flugabwehrkanone anti-aircraft cannon. You call it flak, and it's about to turn the sky into hell. The first bursts appear about a mile ahead, black puffs of smoke that seem to materialize. From nothing. Each puff represents an 88mm shell that has exploded, sending thousands of steel fragments in every direction at lethal velocity. The fragments are designed to rip through aluminum, through hydraulic lines, through human bodies. You fly straight into it because that's the job. Evasive maneuvers scatter the formation, ruin the bombing pattern. So you fly straight and level while high explosive shells bracket the formation, searching for you. The sound is like nothing else, a crump, crump, crump that you feel as much as hear. The aircraft shudders, something pings. Off the fuselage. A hole appears in the roof above you, just suddenly there, sunlight streaming through a jagged tear in the metal. Someone screams on the intercom. The ball turret gunner. I'm hit. I'm hit. You abandon the gun and scramble back through the bomb bay. The ball turret is a nightmare, a tiny sphere hanging below the aircraft with barely enough room for a man and 2 guns. Getting someone out of there if they're wounded is nearly impossible. But you have to try. The ball turret gunner, Tommy, is conscious but bleeding from his leg. A flak fragment punched through the turret and through his thigh. You and the waist gunner manage to crank the turret around and pull him up into the fuselage. The wound is bad, you can see bone, but he'll live if you can get him home. You wrap it with a compression bandage and give him a shot of morphine from the first aid kit. All of this happens while the aircraft continues to buck and shake from near misses. The flak is so thick now that you can smell it, a sharp metallic smell mixed with high explosive. IP in 2 minutes, the navigator announces over the intercom. IP the initial point. the moment where control of the aircraft shifts from the pilot to the bombardier. From here to target, Eddie in the bombardier's position will fly the plane using the Norden bombsight, making tiny adjustments to line up on the target. This is the most dangerous phase of the mission. You fly straight, level, and predictable while German gunners below adjust their aim. Morrison's voice is steady. Bomb bay doors open. The doors swing down and the aircraft slows, becomes less stable. Wind rushes through the open bay. Eddie takes control. I've got it. Steady, steady. Time dilates. Seconds feel like minutes. Another B-17 ahead of you takes a direct hit, the entire tail section separating from the fuselage. The aircraft breaks apart in midair, pieces tumbling toward Earth. You don't see any parachutes. The flak is so intense that you can't see through it. Black smoke fills the sky and you're flying through it blind, trusting in luck and physics and the hope that the statistical probability of a direct hit remains low, bombs away. Eddie's voice cracks with relief. You feel the aircraft lurch upward as 4,000 pounds of high explosive drops free. Through a window you see other bombs falling from the formation, a rain of steel and destruction heading toward the factories below. Morrison takes control back immediately. Get us the hell out of here. He banks hard, dropping the nose, diving away from the target area as fast as the B-17 can go. Around you, the formation breaks apart into individual aircraft all trying to escape the kill zone. The flak follows, bursting around you, but the fire is less accurate now, less concentrated, and then you're through it. The sky ahead is clear, but you're not safe yet. You're not even close to safe. The return flight is when the wounded aircraft become targets. Lucky Lady is hurting. Number 2 engine is running rough, temperature climbing into the red. You're losing hydraulic fluid, a slow leak somewhere that might mean the landing gear won't come down when you need it. Tommy is sedated but stable, strapped to a bench in the waist, and you're 3 hours from home, flying over hostile territory with reduced speed and altitude. The formation tries to stay together, but damaged aircraft can't keep up. 3 B-17s and 2 B-24s fall behind, struggling. The healthy aircraft can't wait. Slowing down makes everyone vulnerable. It's brutal calculus. Protect the many by abandoning the few. Morrison keeps Lucky Lady with the formation, but it's taking everything the engines have. You watch the cylinder head temperatures like a hawk, praying that number 2 doesn't seize up completely. Halfway across Germany, the fighters come back. They've refueled, rearmed, and they know the bombers are vulnerable now. Depleted ammunition. Wounded crew members, damaged systems. But this time it's different. This time you see P-51 Mustangs, the new long-range escorts that can go all the way to the target and back. They tear into the German fighters with a fury, protecting the bombers like sheepdogs protecting their flock. It's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. The channel appears ahead, that thin strip of gray water that means you're almost home. The formation descends, everyone eager to get back to base, to solid ground, to safety. But Lucky Lady has one more crisis in store. Landing gear's not responding, Morrison says, his voice tight. We'll have to crank it down manually. You and the flight engineer grab the hand crank and start turning. It takes 200 revolutions to lower the gear manually, 200 agonizing turns while the English coast approaches and the fuel gauges hover near empty. Finally, 3 green lights, gear down and locked. The base appears ahead. Morrison brings Lucky Lady around on final approach, the aircraft sluggish and unresponsive. The runway rushes up to meet you. The wheels touch. The tail comes down. Morrison stands on the brakes, and Lucky Lady rolls to a stop. You're home. The ground crew swarms the aircraft. A medic climbs aboard to treat Tommy, who's already being loaded onto a stretcher. You climb out through the waste hatch on shaky legs and drop to the ground, feeling the solid earth beneath your feet for the first time in 8 hours. Morrison does a walk-around inspection of Lucky Lady, over 200 holes from flak and bullets. Number 2 engine is scorched and destroyed. The hydraulic system is shot. The ball turret is soaked with blood. But she brought you home. At debriefing, you learn the full cost of the mission. For aircraft lost 40 men. Some captured, some killed, some may be alive in a life raft in the channel. 3 B-17 is so badly damaged they'll never fly again. The target was hit, but reconnaissance will show that only 60% of the bombs struck the factory complex. You'll have to go back. You'll always have to go back. That night, you lie in your bunk and stare at the ceiling of the Nissen hut. Tomorrow there will be another mission, and another, until you complete 25, or until you don't. This was the air war over Europe. Thousands of young men, most in their early 20s, flying missions that had a casualty rate higher than almost any other role in the military. Between 1942 and 1945, the 8th Air Force alone lost over 26,000 men killed and 18,000 wounded. The average age was 22. They called themselves the Bloody Hundredth, the Flying Fortresses, the Liberators, but mostly they just called themselves lucky if they made it home. The restored color footage you've seen today comes from actual combat missions flown in 1944. Every explosion, every fighter, every damaged aircraft, it's all real. These weren't actors or special effects. These were kids from America, from farms and cities and small towns who climbed into aircraft named things like Lucky Lady and Memphis Belle and 909 and flew into skies filled with fire and steel. Some of them are still with us today, now in their 90s and hundreds. They don't talk much about these missions. When they do, they usually mention the cold first, then the fear, then their friends who didn't come back. This is their story. This is what they did at 25,000 feet over Nazi Germany when they were just 22 years old. Remember them.